There is. Hey guys, Brandon Card here, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. I want to talk to you about the Yo-Zuri 3DB Vibe. There's several different things that I like about this Yo-Zuri 3DB Vibe. You know, for one, it's got kind of a subtle rattle in it. You know, it's a very similar bait to the popular Yo-Zuri rattling vibe, but this one is more subtle. So, you know, I can kind of show you just a real subtle sound, and you know, I can fish through areas where guys have thrown traditional rattling baits and, you know, get a lot more bites. Also, you know, I like that it's a little bit slower sinking than some of the other ones on the market, so I can kind of fish it through the grass a little bit more efficiently than some of the others. So I really like throwing this bait around scattered milfoil. You know, like today, you know, we're out here, it's fishing a fall day, the water temperature is in the low 60s, and those shad are really pushing up in the grass that's left. You know, a lot of the grass has already died off, but there's certain areas where, you know, you can find a nice little area with grass, and so that's where the bass are. And in my opinion, this 3DB Vibe is probably one of the best ways of targeting those fish. You know, for one, you can cover a lot of water, and so whenever you're fishing scattered grass, there's not really like an edge, and there's not anything specific that you're fishing. So you need to make a lot of casts and try to figure out where the schools of bass are. And so, you know, this situation that we have today on this fall day, you know, is a very similar deal that happens in the spring of the year whenever the water's, you know, 50s and 60s and the fish start pulling up, and the grass is, you know, probably growing about the same as it is now. So, you know, whether it's in the fall of the year like we have now or the spring of the year, you know, I love throwing this bait around scattered milfoil. So basically, I just let the water depth dictate how I retrieve this bait. You know, if it's deeper milfoil, you know, obviously I'm going to kind of slow roll it down through there and just kind of tick the grass. You know, the whole key is to tick the grass. But if I'm up shallower, you know, the fish could be anywhere from 1 to 6 feet deep. So if I'm throwing it in 1, 2, 3 foot of water, I'm obviously going to be keeping it going at a pretty good pace and keeping my rod tip up. You know, anytime I feel a little piece of grass, you know, I'm going to rip it out. And so, you know, I just kind of let the water depth dictate how I retrieve this bait. And, you know, it's just good to experiment at all the depths this time of year, all the way out to where the grass ends. And for me on this day, you know, the grass kind of stopped growing around 6 feet deep. So, you know, I was fishing from 1 all the way out, and, you know, really just trying to fish my bait efficiently for the water depth that I was fishing. So the rod, reel, and line that I use for this 3DB Vibe is a Abu Garcia Veracity 7.3 medium heavy action rod. I pair that up with an MGX 7:1 gear ratio and 20-pound Yo-Zuri top knot fluorocarbon. And so here's the reasons why I love this setup for fishing a lipless bait. This 7.3 medium heavy, it's stiff enough to where I can, you know, whenever I make a long cast, I can rip this bait out of the grass. But then also, it's limber enough to where when I hook up on a fish, I'm not going to, you know, pull the bait out of its mouth. You know, if I was throwing a heavy action rod, obviously that's going to be too stiff. But also, I don't want too limber to where whenever I'm casting it out there and I'm fishing it through the grass, that bait's just going to get gummed up in the grass all the time, because whenever you try to rip with a real limber rod, it just does not work. For the gear ratio, you know, I think 7:1 is about perfect. You know, it's not too fast and it's not too slow. You know, it's just that perfect medium speed to where if you're fishing shallow, you can reel, you know, pretty quick, but then once your bait gets down a little bit deeper, you can slow it down. And 20-pound fluorocarbon is definitely a key for me. You know, I feel like it keeps my bait a little bit higher. That way it doesn't get bogged down in the grass. And also it's a little bit stronger. So whenever I hook a fish in that heavy milfoil, I can get them out, you know, really easily with that. So next time you're faced with scattered milfoil, definitely try this bait. I think you'll have lots of success. You can find this 3DB Vibe at your favorite local or online retailer.